Kia ora koutou. Good evening, everyone. I'm Simon Pleasance. I'm a former president of the Johnsonville Community Association, and this is an event that's hosted by JCA. And thanks for coming along tonight to meet the candidates for Mayor of Wellington. And thank you very much for turning out, because democracy works best when people show up. I'll do a bit of health and safety, and then we'll soon crack into it. So if there's an earthquake, drop, cover, hold. The loos are out that door and then turn right and just round there. Fire exits are there and there. And if we should land in the sea, don't inflate your life jackets before you leave the plane. Tonight's about giving you a chance to hear each candidate's vision for Wellington, and especially for us here in the Johnsonville and the northern suburbs. A few issues spring to mind, like transport's been rolling along for ages, and the local facilities to keep our communities connected, libraries, pools and places to meet, which is a thing, and services that support households and well-planned growth that will be increasingly important, we think, in Johnsonville Community Association, and of course the usual fixing the basics so our pipes last longer than our patients. Here's how tonight will run. Each candidate gets 4 minutes, and to show us why we should vote for them, we drew the speaking order earlier, and so we've got a list of when they will all speak, and when it's over, then we'll take a short break and it'll be over to you for questions. And I think people have a raffle ticket. If you haven't got a raffle ticket, that's okay. See Mark. Where's Mark? Stand up, Mark. Where are you? There you are. See Mark and get a raffle ticket during the break. And one more thing, tonight is being live streamed. There's a camera just there. Thanks again for being here. So let's get started with introducing the candidates. And what I'll just do is name each of them and ask them to stand up, and then we'll crack into the first speaker. So Alex Baker, there we are. You can applaud if you like. Hey! Diane CALVERT. Woo! Ray Chung. Rob GOULDEN. There we are. And Kelvin HASTIE. Where's Kelvin? Down there. Andrew Little. Donald McDonald. Been along to a few of these. William PENNYWIZE. God bless you, William. Joan Shee. G'day, Joan. And Carl TIEFENBACKER. Okay, so our first speaker tonight is Diane CALVERT.
Kia ora everyone, I'm Diane CALVERT, and it's a pleasure to be here. I've been a city councillor for the last 3 terms for 9 years for the Onslow Western Ward, which the boundary, as you know, runs up by Onslow College, Malvina Major. So this is an area I'm very, very familiar with because I live in Kandala, and our daughters have all either gone to school here, hung out at the mall when there was a lot more shops going on, and when there was a promise 20 odd years ago of a movie theatre, which they were all very excited about, and we're still waiting. But anyway, I think it was Justin Nestor used to say I lived in outer Johnsonville, so I'll take it for this meeting here, but very pleased to be here. And so why am I standing for mayor? Well, the city needs a reset. And I think you'll hear probably from most candidates, and as you all know, rates are unaffordable. And with all the other charges we're going to have, with the water charges, with the sludge levy, with Greater Wellington Regional Council rates, it's something that we cannot sustain going forward. It's really difficult to sustain even now. So the question is, we're all saying very similar things, but who's going to make the change? And I think I've got the skills to do that and the ability, because being on council, having served under 3 mayors, I know what works and I know what doesn't. And I know the system really well. I know the budget inside and out. I know the processes, and I know the people, because when you serve as an elected member, you have to serve lots of different people right across the city, businesses, and I've got really strong connections right across the city. So what's my focus? Well, my focus is first and foremost is resetting the budget, and we'll have to reset our priorities to do that. We need to cut our expenditure, and we also need to make sure we fix the essentials. Now, the water is being handed over to a new entity from next year, but it's still really important that we keep our eye on that and to make sure the things that need fixing first are actually fixed, but we've got to make sure we maintain the basic facilities that we have. Now, most of you will be familiar with the likes of Kandala Pool, some of you will be familiar with the Begonia House, the stuff that we've had for years and we just haven't maintained it to the way we should have done. We need to make sure that we're maintaining what we have before we throw it out and try and build something flash or new. But we know we need to rebuild trust with this council, because this council has not listened to you. You know that, we know that. Some of us have tried to do more about that, but nevertheless, that's something that needs to change, and we need to be open for business. If we don't have strong business, we don't have jobs for people to be in, and then they won't want to live here. So thank you, and I look forward to further questions later on.
Thank you, Diane. And the next candidate is Carl Tiefenbacker. Welcome, Carl.
Hi, I'm Carl Tiefenbacker. I'm a born and bred Wellingtonian. I left school and I started a career in the financial markets, so I had an 18-year career in the financial markets. After that, I started Cafe Ice 21 years ago. It's a little ice cream shop that you guys might know in town, but it's a bit more than an ice cream shop. I have 30 staff. We're a multi-million-dollar business. We're an importer, a manufacturer, a wholesaler, a distributor, and obviously the hospo stores as well. So the reason why I'm standing for council is quite simply because Wellington's becoming unaffordable. It's unaffordable to live in, and it's also unaffordable to do business in. So a couple of years back, I looked at my mum's rates, $9,200. I looked at her insurance, $6,000. I looked at her health insurance, $5,000. If you're on a pension, you just cannot make those numbers work. And we're literally saying to people, once you lose your income and you stop having income coming in, leave Wellington. And I find that ridiculous and atrocious. And it's something we've been doing for the last 15 years. We've not cared about the people who actually live here and who make Wellington a great place. I want to see that change. So we need to change the whole culture within the council. We need to change the culture to one whereby we work for you guys. We actually value your money. We spend it wisely. We make sure when we're buying stuff, we're getting good value for what we're buying. When we're delivering stuff, we're delivering it at a price that is efficient and realistic. So for me, it's all about the core basics of the council that we have an issue with at the moment, in the whole concept of the fact that this is a political position or anything, or that these guys here or anyone in the council actually have the vision that we need for Wellington, rather than actually letting the people decide what they want to do, I think is really an issue for me. So when I say it's also difficult to do business in Wellington, I look at my own factory, which is in Granada North. It's only worth $1.6 million, but my rates are $27,000 a year. On top of that, I pay water separately. And we're a manufacturing plant, so we pay $15,000 in water a year. Okay, I accept that water bill. It also costs me $28,000 to $30,000 in insurance every year just because I'm in Wellington. So what that means, if I owned the exact same property in Auckland, I would be $30,000 better off before I did a single thing. So what are we saying to new businesses when they can't, new people, young people, when they want to establish a business? We're saying it's cheaper to do it in Auckland. You can have 1.5 million people on your doorstep rather than 200,000 people, and then you can have a discussion around whether you think the weather's better or not up there. My point being is we're not incentivising people to create job opportunities in Wellington whereby the young people, the next generation that are coming through, have the opportunity to stay here. And we've seen that over recent times with our growth numbers, which are pretty much zero to maybe even negative soon, I would suggest. We have to break that cycle. The only way we break that cycle is becoming a hell of a lot more efficient, caring about money and working with people, actually creating the environment where businesses can succeed, where people can afford to live and where they want to be. So in other words, create the vibrancy, which is what a city is all about. We can do it. I don't think it's that hard. The rate take we already have is massive. We just spend it incredibly poorly. I want to bring a lot more of a business focus into the council and hold people accountable to make sure that everyone within it is doing their job well and that they're representing you in the best way possible. By the way, quick plug, Andrea Compton and Tony Randall, you have two amazing options for councillors up here. They're both incredibly good and would be great to have on the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Rob's pretty keen, so I'll just let him stand up.
Thank you. I hope you don't mind if I read from a few notes. Can I just refer you to an open letter to the people of Wellington I wrote a couple of weeks ago. It's gone as high as the Prime Minister and a few ministers. And there's a list of about 7 projects over there if you want to have a look at them afterwards that may get Wellington really moving again. Thanks to Barry, Simon, Anne and others for inviting us here tonight. Kia ora, good evening. I love the city and I'm passionate about its future. For me, for my family and for you and all those who come to visit us. But make no mistake about it, the city is at a turning point. Wellington has a stark choice, a low rates increase or a zero chance of returning to the vibrant city it was 15 years ago when I think I was part of one of the most successful councils we've ever had. 2 things are certain. We have to be more frugal and there has to be change. Every dollar we save should go to paying down the debt. Currently, 1.6 billion net, heading for 2 billion plus. The interest bill on that 2 billion will be about 100 million a year of dead money. It was 70 million when I first raised this issue. We have to be more pragmatic, smarter, and really think carefully about the value of things we are doing. My name is Rob Goulden. I lived in this suburb in 1968 when the Wahine storm struck. I'm standing for Mayor because I know I can deliver the strong and decisive leadership that Wellington desperately needs. There is no place for party politics, especially by those who put ideology ahead of the best interests of Wellingtonians and the city's real needs. I've previously served as a Wellington City Councillor on Wellington's most successful council, so I know how the council works and, more importantly, how it should work. I have a proven track record of nearly 50 years' service as a decorated police officer, 4 years as a diplomatic protection officer, looking after foreign PMs and presidents, a New Zealand Army officer, a Justice of the Peace for 23 years, and a City Councillor for 12 years. I've donated my career across a range of jobs to help people, keeping them safe and serving their best interests. Here in New Zealand, former Yugoslavia, Bougainville, and I've spent time in the Middle East and India and Pakistan. I'm currently the managing director of a security company, which is a successful business, which I own and operate. I hold a master's degree in business administration, and that's enough about me. I'm pragmatic, relish challenges, and work collegially, and will work collegially to get the job done. My job, if elected as mayor, is to help build a more resilient, livable, and affordable Wellington. Wellington needs a mayor who knows the issues that the city faces. And the council I lead, if elected, will listen to Wellingtonians for a change. I will be a champion for the city, grow the city economy and facilitating the things we are good at, like the film industry. Wellington is an IT hub, the arts, culture and entertainment capital, tourism and the things we are good at. I will work collegially and develop a team. I will work with central government to attract private and government investment here, because we've missed out as Wellington. Enough about that. I can answer any questions. It's time to return to this city to the people who live in it. We can solve the city's problems by working together, and we will bring back the vibe, the confidence, and the government and private investment that the city so desperately needs. If you've always done, or you always do what you've always done and you've always voted along party lines, think again. Choose a council and a mayor that'll get the job done. My team are confident that I have the skills, the knowledge, experience, energy, good health and commitment to serve as Mayor of Wellington. I am happy to answer any questions. Thank you for listening tonight. And yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rob. And now may I introduce Alex.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Alex Baker toko ingoa. I'm Alex, thank you very much for having me along tonight. I have 3 goals and a couple of hopes, I guess, for Wellington. My 3 goals are I believe that we need to become more affordable, with more affordable rates, more affordable rents, more affordable house prices, and more affordable transport costs. We're a city that needs jobs desperately. We have to become a city where businesses are more successful and can hire and recruit more people, and we have to become a city where young people are able to start businesses and have them successfully reach maturity and bring more revenue into our region. Thirdly, sustainability. We are so close to being such a sustainable city, and we only need to make a few more steps and we will be there. And it's something that is very, very attractive to young people. It's something that we need to do for our future, and I believe it is something that Wellington should be doing. I also think that we should be a city that is safe and is fun. I feel like some of the fun has gone out of Wellington a little bit of late, although personally I'm still having a great time when I go out to our restaurants and bars, but I know that people are feeling unsafe. You know, 1/3 of university students who come to Wellington experience some form of sexual or physical assault in the 3 years that they are here. How's that as a welcome to our city and a place where we would like them to settle down? It is unacceptable, in my view, and it's something that we need to turn around. A little bit about myself. I was planning to take the year off this year. I have a now 6-month-old daughter and a 3-year-old daughter as well. My partner's off work for the year on maternity leave. I worked very hard for the last 10 years, had a pretty tough run of it for the last 2, and I decided I needed a break, saved up some money, and thought we'll take the year off, it'll be really nice. And then I decided to do this, and here we are, spending my savings, running a mayoral campaign, and there is a reason that I'm doing that, and it is because my friends and my family cannot get jobs in Wellington, and they are moving away. My friends and family members cannot afford houses in Wellington and can't afford to live here, so they move up the Kapiti coast, to Auckland, to Melbourne, overseas in pursuit of job opportunities because they can't get them in our city. And that is something that I believe we need to change. I mentioned sustainability as well. I was very, very happy with the role that the council was taking in building the sustainability of our city. I just worked in sustainability at Kaingaora for 5 years. I know what good looks like from an economic perspective, from an environmental perspective, and from a social perspective. The moves that our council were making were the right ones, and I want to see those continue to progress. I didn't just get into this because of that. I decided to start looking into the financial situation of the council because I hear so much about how much money is being wasted. I started my career at KPMG. I was in audit at KPMG, and then I moved into corporate finance. So I was doing mergers and acquisitions type deals and infrastructure financing at KPMG. I went from there into Kaingaora, where I was doing initially the business cases for their biggest projects. So the biggest project that they did in Auckland, I did the business case for, and I also led commercial negotiations for them on, for example, the lease of 900 properties in Western Porirua to Ngāti Toa so that they could set up their community housing provider. I took those financial management skills, investigation skills to the council's finances and actually went, what is the problem here? What is it that is making Wellington so much more expensive than these? Well, first off, is it true? And then given how dramatically true it is, Wellington City's operating costs per person are 50% higher than Auckland, Christchurch and Hamilton, and our rates are pretty much as high as well. And that cannot only be because of mismanagement of our council, because they cannot be so much worse than Auckland or Hamilton or Christchurch, and for such a long period of time either. So then I started looking at what the fundamental drivers of these cost differences are, and they are population growth and they are investment. And unless we can turn around the growth and investment situation, we're not going to turn around the cost situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex Baker. And next speaker is Donald McDonald. Welcome, Donald.
Donald McDonald. McDon
waiting, second coming, be on good terms with Jesus, and Passover. I'm also in Southern Ward General. My principles and policies: legal fines. Disobedient, we're all disobedient, so you have to at least pay $120 voluntary. When you escape the parking, you're only paying threepence. Sudoku, now somebody says gamble. Gamble is theft. Alcohol and cigarettes and movie is not good for me. I pray, thank Mother God. The community should be healthier, twice as honest than McDonald waiting. Digital poverty. Okay, so the 16 years plus, they should get a communication allowance. Talk, text and data. We don't want smoke going up the chimney with energy. Participation information by the phone. Greedy me. The government is greedy me. You have a house and a car, a rich computer, children, wine, movie, concert. Water, you use too much water. Donald McDonald, Newt or Mac done waiting. Vote 1 Donald, Mayor of Wellington. I'm in South Ward as well. Go to heaven, do the God commands. Jesus coming soon. Okay. You might get his reward. I hope you get a reward, yeah. The last great disaster. New covenant, Passover, protect. Let's face it, society, government is all greedy me. Your house, cars, poverty, gamble, alcohol. The time waster. Noise means trouble hearing. Don stand for log job. Community. Fix the answer. You have to do the right. Honest, timely and succinct. When you log a job, they don't do those things. But nothing. Proper sign off by a senior. They didn't do our job. No fix. Council never gives a clear answer. OIA, 8565. Donald, straight talk, straight talk. Don't assume that they're going to do it, because they'll never do it. Petrol, electric is all ending. The roads will be wipe out pedestrians. The phone allowance for age 16. The current calendar is no good because you can't, when's the third Monday? You can't work it out. So child easy. My calendar, 5 weeks times 6 days, 11 times 30 plus 36. That's 366. And you take off 3/4, you got back to 365 and a quarter. So 5 weeks of 6 days, no Thursday. Help. You have to have enough to live on. Wins is no good. Samaritans, community centres, yes. Call me. The Bible says ending times is here. Go to heaven if I do the God commands. I am zero honest. The next council will equal me. I am expert. Compare large numbers. Describe the details. About greedy me. Houses and cars. Gamble is no good. They take your money. You don't get anything back. The time waster. Noisy. I've been a candidate 8 times, while the council never give a clear answer.
Thank you, Donald McDonald. And next speaker is Andrew Little.
Kia ora tātou katoa. Good evening, everybody. Thank you, as everybody else has said, for turning out tonight. My name's Andrew Little. I have lived in Wellington for a total of 35 years. I have come back to Wellington 3 times. I came down to Wellington to study at Victoria University. I've gone away a couple of times, but come back. It's a city I love. I've lived in Island Bay now for the last nearly 20 years. It's a beautiful spot to be. My background is I started my working life as a lawyer. I'm currently working as a lawyer. In between, I've been a union leader. I've been an MP, and I've been a senior cabinet minister. The skills that I've developed over that time are very much about negotiating, about building relationships, about problem solving, about working with people from a whole range of different backgrounds to deal with challenges and find solutions to the many issues that people have had. The reason I'm standing for the mayoralty is having been asked a couple of times, roughly a year or so ago, and saying no, I started paying closer attention to what the council was doing or not doing, and started to get somewhat concerned about what I saw. I was concerned about some of the decisions it was making, the way it was making decisions. The thing that turned it for me was the fact that the council, along with other councils in the Wellington region at the beginning of this year, didn't line up to be part of this government's regional deals program. Here's the central government offering regions, offering cities some financial assistance to deal with some of the problems, long-term and infrastructure problems that they've got, and our civic leaders didn't stand in the queue. For me, that was reckless. For a city that is crying out for help, then it was the wrong thing to do not to stand up for it. So for me, my priorities, if I'm elected mayor, are firstly to address the issue that we hear a lot about, which is affordability of the city. When I talk to particularly business leaders and the developing and thriving industries that we've got, they tell me that the hardest thing for them is to retain and recruit early to mid-career people, because it's just too expensive to either buy a place to live or to rent a place to live. So we need more affordable housing. The current council has made a great decision in changing the district plan to allow for high density housing, more apartments. What we need is a council that's prepared to back the developers and the investors to get that kind of housing going, to make Wellington an attractive place to be for those folks who want to be here for their early and mid-career. So affordable housing is absolutely key. The next priority is about community facilities. I think the council has lost its sort of sense of priority in some of the decisions that it's taken or was about to take that would have seen the end of the Candala Pool or the Bigoni House. Communities that make up a city need facilities. It's what strengthens communities, so we need to have that. And the third priority for me is the way the council works, the way it engages both at the council level but with the community as well. I wanted to see, because we know the big challenge is the fact the council is struggling to take control of its spending. I want to see, for the large projects that we know are blown out, the Wellington Town Hall, the sludge plant, an external group of engineers, accountants and others to provide some oversight to make sure we don't get those cost blowouts. And to have a council that is prepared to engage constructively with government. I know government, I've been there, I know the current set of ministers, I can advocate strongly for Wellington, and that's what I would do.
Thank you, Andrew Little. And next up is Ray Chung. That's right. Ray, there he is.
Great, thanks very much everyone, and welcome out on this cold, bleary night. Who am I? I'm Ray Chung, and I'm running for Mayor and for Council in the Onslow Western Ward. I've been a councillor in the Onslow Western Ward for the last 3 years, and I've seen the issues that we've actually struck in there. This is why, about a year ago, we set up a team. We had to look at how we were going to effect a change in council. We had to look at how we can actually change the direction that we're heading in. So a year ago, we set up a team called the Independent Together. And with this team, we aim to get a majority in council. To get this majority in council, we can effect the change. We can actually change the direction that we're going in. So the key word to describe Wellington at the moment, does anyone know what it is? It's been mentioned here a few times tonight. It's affordability. We don't have an affordable city. We have people leaving the city. You know, over the last 2 censuses, our population actually went down. And so we've got to invigorate the city. We've got to get more businesses in here. We've got to get more people back in here. And the only way people will come in here is if there's opportunity, if there's jobs. That's why we have to focus on getting the businesses in. The rates. Once you get a house, there's a lot of discussion about affordable housing. Now, affordable housing is one thing, but if you get a house, how do you actually hang on to it? You look at how much the City Council is actually charging you in rates at the moment. It's doubled over the last 5 years, and it's going to increase again over the next 10 years. On our long-term plan, there's continual increases. So we've got to stop that. We and the team of Independent Together will have a zero rate increase starting next year. And so we will give you your money back. The money that you actually give in rates is actually better off in your own pocket for you to decide where you actually want to spend it. And that's what we will do for you. Over the council over the last 3 years, we found that what we've been trying to do is we've been trying to change the direction, but we found that we just don't have the votes. There's not enough independence on council to actually change the direction that we're going in. This is key to actually getting any change in the city. So this is what we will need to do. We look at safety in the city, and these subjects are mentioned by everyone. Even the council's own surveys say that the majority of people find that it's unsafe to actually come into Wellington. Even during the daytime, people don't want to come into Wellington because they feel unsafe. So we've got to change that. We've got to change what it is, whether it's perception or reality. We need to change these things. So what have we had? We've had a $9 billion budget to make the city safer. But where's that money gone? It's gone into a boardwalk in Dixon Street, and all it's done is make the street narrower. It's gone into $2.3 million toilets. Where is our money going to? Where are we spending it? We look at $600,000 bike racks. Is that good value for your money? This is what the council needs to do. We need to focus on what's good value for everyone. So I care about people. Every month I have 3 constituent meetings where I welcome anyone who wants to talk about any of the issues, and I try and help them all. Now, this is what council is actually meant to be for. We're meant to be here to look after you people. And so this is our main focus. But if we're not doing that, then what are we doing? No? My last 2 decades I've spent in international business. And so over this time, I've worked with 2 American companies, a German company, a British company. And one of the key focuses is that we run efficient sales teams. And we're taught discipline and focus. And these are the qualities that I will bring to council if I'm elected mayor with a team of Independent Together candidates. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ray Chung. And the next speaker is Joan Shee. Good evening, Joan.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. It's nice to see some familiar face here. I'm Joan Shee, a single mom of 2 lovely children who call Wellington home. Because English is my 3rd language, I will speak slowly so that you can understand me. I have lived in Kandala for 13 years. Wellington is my children's hometown. I have a deep personal commitment to making this city better. That's why I'm standing for the Lowland Ward and the majority. The skills I bring to the council table include truly listening, financial management, and experience working in international trade, international banking, NGOs, and technology. I have a warm personality, and I'm easy to approach. In recent years, I have worked in Wellington as an IT developer, and I also earned a degree in data science from Victoria University of Wellington. My priorities are: number 1, direct council spending towards core infrastructure and essential community services, especially repairing or replacing leaking pipes. Number 2, improve affordable and reliable public transportation. Number 3, nurture a business-friendly environment. Wellington is currently not in a good shape, particularly with its financial situation and aging infrastructure, such as the leaking pipes everywhere. I have strong skills in financial management, planning, and taking a practical approach. For example, at the moment, I can't afford fancy flyers or billboards. Instead, I build my own website and publish my policy there. You can easily search Joan Shee Wellington and find my website, or by visiting Wellington City Council website for the link. This is the kind of approach council should also take. If there are financial constraints, we should focus on the basic first, rather than spending money on nice-to-have projects, such as the organ waste program. If my life journey resonates with you, please vote for me. I will be honored to represent you. I'm also committed to being available for our community. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Joan. And next speaker is William Pennywise. Welcome, William.
Mayoral Candidates, could we give Don a big hand for holding the balloon, please? I think it's wonderful every election to try and decipher his candidate statements. It's like a code, it is beautiful. It's like an intelligence test. I've got a little ditty for you tonight. There is a goddamn awful mall, on that side of the road. It is a frickin' ugly mall, it is a frickin' ugly mall on that side of the road, and it leaks in the rain, and it leaks in the rain, and it leaks in the rain. And there's no bloody door on that side of the road. There is no bloody door, there's no bloody door on that side of the road. Why is there no door on that side of the road? On that side of the road, why is there no door? So this clown thinks we should tear it down. On that side of the road, plant some lovely rata trees, mend the totara and the hino too. On that side of the road, on that side of the road, on that side of the road, on that side of the road. Kia ora, Johnsonville. Mō rero te tātou, ko Pennywise te hangareka whakatipu nahere ahau. I am Pennywise, the rewilding clown. And if you want a pōneke, which is getting back to the basics of rewilding our fair city and abolishing shopping malls, then I am the clown for you. If you want a pōneke, we are getting some common sense back, daylighting our many hour, and utilising them as part of a visionary new public transport scheme, then this clown is the clown for you. You won't have to wait in a traffic jam on the Noronga Gorge anymore. You'll be zooming down on the back of a giant tuna on that beautiful, rejuvenated awa, or taking the kai wharawhara route, zooming down or zooming up on the back of our genetically enhanced creatures. So, if you want a Wellington where you can't walk out your door without fear for tripping over a kiwi, treading on a pukeko, or being hit by a flying kereru, then Pennywise is the clown for you this October. Kia ora tātou, pōtitia Pennywise.
Thank you, Pennywise. The next speaker is Kelvin Hastie.
Kia ora everyone, can you hear me? This is a very hard act to follow, isn't it? Would you like me to do some more singing for you, or no? Now, I stood here 3 years ago. Some of you may remember me. And we were talking about light rail down somewhere in town and 24,000 houses. Now, I've got a background in infrastructure, and I was sitting in one of these seats just bewildered by the whole thing. So here we are 3 years down the line, and I think you could probably understand why I was feeling quite bewildered about the whole thing. But my name's Kelvin Hastie, and I live in Nail, which is a little way up the road there. My kids attended Candala School here. Probably I'm best known around these parts for starting predator-free Crofton Downs, which was New Zealand's first predator-free community. And then we scaled that up across Wellington, and that became Predator Free Wellington, which has been a very successful program. I believe you've also got your own predator-free Johnsonville, which is great. So if we come back to infrastructure, I've worked on large-scale infrastructure projects, wind farms, motorways, solar farms. So I've got a really good understanding. Large-scale urban design projects like Sydney Olympic Park, so the urban renewal of that. So I've worked with large-scale infrastructure projects around the world, so I can sort of see where Wellington is going wrong. And that's why we're having these massive cost blowouts, and that's causing this great rate distress. A really good way to blunt that problem is to stop doing these silly projects. So doing a sludge plant, 550 million at this stage, likely to cost a lot more, never been trialled in New Zealand before, completely new, never been used here. So when they switch it on, is it going to work? Probably not. So those are the sorts of things where we need to just get our house in order. Sludge plant, it sounded amazing, wonderful, but in hindsight, it may not have been such a good idea. Christchurch got to Kaha Stadium, we got a house of shit. So we need to really focus on how do we get jobs back to Wellington, how do we invigorate the economy, and the best way to do that is to stop focusing on some of these projects that aren't necessary. Organic waste, once again I did predator-free Wellington. We did our own trapping. I believe about 20% of residents will pick up the organic waste scheme. I think we could probably do that as communities, and it wouldn't cost the ratepayer a cent. So those are the sort of projects we've got to get rid of. But if we're going to get rid of them, we need some sensible councillors around the table. So that's really up to you to pick some good councillors and make sure that we can make the decisions that need to be made. But certainly from my perspective, I understand that everyone's hurting in this room, everyone's hurting in Wellington, but we're passionate Wellingtonians, we want to stay here. So the best way to do that is just to get back to basics and focus on core infrastructure. Thank you.
Well, thank you, candidates. What a fantastic choice we have here. And democracy is wonderful, isn't it? I'm just going to break up for a little bit. We're going to take a bit of a break. People can have a bit of a walk around, use the facilities, and we'll come back in a few minutes and take questions from the floor. Thank you, everyone. Clear, practical commitments on issues that the new mayor can affect, issues like the local facilities and support services and fixing in the neglected basics. We've handed out raffle tickets at random, so we'll use those to call people up. And in Parliament, they have a biscuit tin. And here we have a Much More's ice cream pot, and I'll be pulling out tickets from there. People need to keep an eye on your raffle tickets, and I'll give you a number, and you get 30 seconds to ask a question. Please start your question with a question word like how, what, why, rather than giving a speech. If you wanted to give a speech, you should have been at the table and put yourself in for mayor yourselves. Let's avoid heckling, keep it useful and respectful, and please no speeches. And that's it, and I'm going to call the first one now, so I'm not looking, promise. Number 68. A68.
Yeah, 68's me. My name's Barry Ellis. Sorry, I probably don't need that, I can talk loud enough. The internet needs it. Okay, well I'll stand up then, makes life easier. My question is, we've heard about the council and we've heard about what's gone wrong, and we all know it's been pretty dysfunctional for a while. But my question is about democracy, and I'll ask the whole lot of you to answer. 3 quick questions is, should we allow people at the age of 16 to vote? That's the first question. The second one is, should we have a council member being elected on the basis of race, not on vote? And the third question, I've got 30 seconds, thanks. It's
one question, please.
Okay, the last one is basically whoever's got the right to vote, don't worry, I've had a few lessons from these guys. Should they be a ratepayer or should they anybody off the street? So I'll start down the far end there from that man.
All right, candidates can answer one of those questions each, and you've got a minute to do it.
So we don't waste time. Under 16s, I don't believe they should have the right to vote. I think they're still getting maturity at that age. Some obviously would pay attention to the voting thing and learn around that, but I don't think enough of them would, to be fair. So I would say no, I think 18 is a fair age to be voting on. Next one was Maori ward. Based on race. Oh.
Sorry, the second question was, should someone be voted based on race? Was that the question? No, race should never ever come into democracy. It should be, any candidate should be able to sit for it. It doesn't matter what race they are, what ethnicity they are, it should all be absolutely equal.
I support the Māori ward and I will campaign for the Māori ward. And in relation to people's right to vote, we've recognised kind of the general franchise for decades and decades, and I wouldn't see that changing.
So the Māori electorates allow Māori people to join a different electorate and vote for someone to represent them. It's no different from deciding to move from Brooklyn to Karori to be in a different electorate. That is how the Māori electorate works. It is designed to enable te raurangateratanga Māori to own their own solutions and to be represented in council decision making as a minority group, which they risk not happening if that ward is not in place. So absolutely I support it. I believe my question was voting age of 16. I'll answer my question with a question, which is a 16-year-old has 80 years left to live in this city. How long?
I don't support race-based vote. I support one person, one vote.
Barry went to school with his sister, long time ago. 16, no.
I can't remember what your third question was, but I'll do the first one, which is I believe that we should retain the 18 and over voting, not under. Thank you.
Democracy. It's called our truth, the whole truth. No such thing. So I have to advertise. The Post won't take my ads. They won't let me speak. So I campaigned since 2013. Participation. That's why I write the booklet for you. There's a big booklet there.
Well, tēnā koe. On the Māori Awards issue, absolutely it's important that Indigenous voices are at the table, and I'm not going to make a joke about that one, but to make a joke about the people who claim that apparently a person casting a vote to elect a representative is apparently against the principles of one person casting one vote to elect a representative. So maybe you can explain to me later on how voting to appoint an elected representative is against the principles of voting to appoint elected representatives. Kia ora.
Question 3, yes.
Love it. Not bad, So yeah, please only ask one question, and keep it to the job of being mayor. This is number 82. Anyone? Good. You can also, sorry.
Will you commit to bringing engineering services back into the City Council along the lines of the old City Engineers Department?
That was about having a city engineer. Is that? Engineering services. Well, if you look at my Wellington plan, I do plan on bringing back a chief engineering team into the City Council. We are currently, our chief infrastructure officer is not an engineer, and neither was the previous one. And it's certainly something that we need to bring back at a senior level into our organisation.
We're just trying to work it out. Yeah, I think we should 100%. I think it's quite obscene that a council, a company or an organisation the size of the council don't have certain qualifications within their own ranks. You know, we do a lot of contracting out and consulting and things like that, but engineering, lawyers, I don't understand why an organisation that size doesn't have that capability already in-house, so I think we should certainly bring it back in.
Yes, absolutely. I started off life as a telecom engineer, and I think that engineers are absolutely essential in council.
Myself is an IT developer, and I also have a degree in data science. I support bring back more engineering people and reduce staff in communication.
Councillors, do the job. Engineering services, who's going to sign it off? You've got to sign off. If you sign off and you haven't done it, you're down the, what's the name? Efficiency, do the job efficiency. If it's absolute, if it's a choice, well, anybody can choose. But if it's an absolute, like population is exploding. We're in trouble with population. Engineering too. So, well, it's a numerical, it's a calculation thing, it's a formula and all that.
Yes, the one thing that every council is responsible for is the built environment. It's the roads, it's the buildings, it's everything associated with it. Of course, a council must have an engineering department, qualified engineers. That's what keeps cities going and building and keeps people safe.
I tell you why there's no engineers, because the engineer's going to say, this project's not a good idea, but the councillors aren't going to listen and vote it through anyway. So why would you, you're going to struggle to get engineers who are going to want to work at Wellington City Council. But 2,000 staff members and no engineer, I mean, come on. But yeah, once again, it doesn't matter if council officers get expert advice from external engineers, they take that to our people sitting around the table, and if they go, no, we're going to go ahead anyway, which repeatedly happens, what's the end result going to be? And then if you're the engineer, that's on your name. So you're not going to want to be in an organisation where your staff don't listen to you.
So I've had engineers do construction project work for me as consultants, consulting firms, and I've also in-housed engineering services to put engineers in my teams to do the same work. And I'll tell you what the trade-off is. If you're using a consulting firm to do your engineering work for you, they will put that work through a quality assurance process that means that the council or whichever organisation is procuring the work basically has a guarantee from that organisation around the quality of the product that's being delivered. If you in-house it, then the organisation takes on that risk itself. That is the trade-off. I don't dispute that engineering skills are required within an organisation, but I also understand, and I want you to understand, that there is also a role for quality assurance processes and sign-out processes within firms that do engineering work for the council and for other large organisations.
This issue came up today at Kandala. about how you make people accountable for some of these terrible cost overruns that we've had with some of these projects. And one of them, a classic, is the old town hall, originally budgeted at 90 million, now 327 million. We just can't afford that. We should never have sold city ops, never. I voted against it in 2001, but the council came along years later and sold it. All that wonderful roading and city experience just thrown out. We need an independent group, I think we do, to look at the bills for consultants at the moment. Run into, last time I looked at it, 16 million, that's 15 years ago. What it is now, I have absolutely no idea, to be honest, but I think it's great that you should have an engineering section in there, roading and the building stuff, so that we've got our own independent advice inside. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone. You can ask a question of an individual if you want to. Number 94.
It's my mother's age. It's my mother's age.
Oh,
My mum.
Right, this is a question for every candidate. It's about social housing. Will you be prepared to start a dialogue with central government with the aim of giving it back? Now, all it needs is a yes or no answer from every candidate.
Can you repeat the questions again? Sorry, I missed it. Sorry. Yeah, that's right. I think it was.
Can you join me? The question was each, yes or no, was each candidate prepared to start a dialogue with central government over social housing? For me, it's not a yes or no answer. It's a must that that dialogue be started. One, because it's a better deal for the people who live in social housing, currently paying 75% of market rental, as opposed to Kaingaroa, which is 25%. It's not fair. It's creating inequity within our community. I'd be happy to talk. We got 220 million from central government in 2008 from the Clark government on the pretext that we'd fix up the council housing. We haven't done it, and the caveat was that they would get first dibs on buying it. I'm sure that negotiation could take place. Andrew might have a different view. He wants to spend $439 million more on fixing up 800 houses. That's not required, and it's not the council function.
Yes, I will talk to central government regarding social housing, because social housing is not council's responsibility, it's central government's responsibility. So our ratepayers should not foot the bill. And in the beginning, when I saw the news about spend $500,000 to upgrade social housing, each $500,000 per unit. In the beginning, I thought it was a joke, but actually it's true, and I think it's not good value for the money. So definitely, I will talk to central government. Thank you.
Absolutely, yes. We pay our taxes for the central government to provide social housing. We pay rates also to the city council to provide social housing. Why are we paying twice? Absolutely, we should start that negotiation.
Yes, 100%. Sorry, I just thought I'd answer the question.
In Mount Cook, Pukeahu, there is a beautiful housing graveyard just up the top of Webb Street, near Cuba Street. It's called the Arlington Flats. If you like rustic, beautiful, demolished and half rebuilt state housing foundations, it is beautiful. But this government doesn't really seem to like building houses, so I wouldn't trust them with the City Council's housing portfolio as far as I can throw Jerry Brownlee. Kia ora koutou.
There's too many people in this room, double it. There'll be 500 in this room. Too many people, that's why they want more houses. And the houses are going to come at a big price. And that means the rate times the price. And affordable. And there's so much poverty. What's this? Winds doesn't give you enough to live on. You don't want heat. You don't want computer. You want community meals, community facilities, libraries, printout.
No, I wouldn't start that dialogue. The council's social housing portfolio is a very important part of the council's balance sheet. There is no market to sell housing in. The government doesn't want it. It is possible for that estate to pay for itself and its long-term maintenance if we negotiate with the government to increase the proportion of tenants who are on the income-related rent subsidy from the current, I think, 10% to something more like 50%, which is what Christchurch has. That's what we should be doing, and it will pay for itself.
So yeah, the government don't want anything to do with it. The current government, and we could probably take it from that the potential next government don't want anything to do with it either. So look, there's a conversation to be had and a negotiation, something that our current mayor has struggled with. Communication with central government has been a real issue. So we need to open those lines of communication, not just for social housing people, but for all the residents across Wellington. So it's about being mature, being the adult in the room, and having those conversations with central government. I believe there is a deal to be done. And just remember, this is about social housing upgrades. This isn't about flogging off the social housing. That ain't going to happen. So it's about the upgrades of the social housing.
I wrote an article, it's on Wellington Scoop a couple of months ago, saying how we needed to do a city deal with government over the social housing. I've proven through my analysis that the current model is unsustainable. So we need to find a way with the government, though, in terms of what we do, what they're willing to contribute. The previous government promised income-related rents before they got elected. It never was delivered. This current government is saying it's not our problem. We've got a deed of grant that goes for another 12 years. We have got to get round the negotiating table and sort it out. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to get rid of it, but we have to have a better financial deal because we've got people in housing, and we need to find an affordable way for everyone to, for that to be, whether it goes to government or not, but we have to get round the negotiating table. But if you want to know more, check out my city deal from 2 months ago. Thank you.
I agree with both Andrew and Diane on this. I don't think it's fair on the tenants to have them moved from the community housing provider that they're currently with to something that's owned by central government or Kāinga Ora, but I also believe that we need more than just 50% of them to be going on the income-related rent subsidy. I also, just a little bit of quick maths, and I think the $400 million upgrade for the portfolio over the next 10 years, basically 4% results in the council borrowing $400 million, 4% interest rate on that is basically $16 million a year of interest repayments, plus a repayment of the principal, which is probably about $10 million a year. What it means is that there's $26 million there out of $900 million of operating costs for the council, of which your rates are covering half of those. So that basically means that around 3% of your rates are paying for public housing. That may seem like a lot to you, or it might not seem as big a deal as maybe $400 million sounds.
I'm sorry, can I just correct some facts there, or some information? Because we are not paying back principal. This is a problem. We are borrowing the money to do. There's no payment for principal at least till 2051. At the moment, the shortfall in operating expenditure is we're not paying that on our rates. What's happening is that's going on to debt, and the interest on that debt is going on to debt. So we need to get this sorted. And so it's very, so we've got to be really careful with the figures that we're quoting. And I've got an undertaking from the CFO and the CEO that we will start a conversation with government about what we do next. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you.
Okay. Next question, if we can, I think we've got time for 2 or 3 more questions. So, number 85. Who's got 85? The internet has number 85. What's the question?
What are you going to do about the current size of the council bureaucracy?
Is that a question for all the candidates?
I've maintained that we need to cut back on the bureaucracy in the council. So at the moment, we have a churn of 17%. That's 340 people every year. So when those people leave, I would recommend that we don't replace them. We promote from within. So we cut the council back by 17%, the churn rate.
It's about efficiency. They've got to do the jobs, and if they don't do the jobs, they can go somewhere else. But I'm travelling now, back to the zoo.
The current size of Wellington City Council employees, I heard, is 2,000 people and 50-ish people in communication. So I think we need to downsize the employees, and also we need to hire more staff in with engineering background. Thank you.
Go, Carl. I'm literally all about efficiency. I think we need to basically be as efficient as we possibly can on every single front. Obviously, that involves staffing. If we have more people than we need in areas, I think we have areas that we don't need any people in, and that would be things like diversity. I don't understand why we have a diversity division in council. We're the most diverse city in the world, just about. We're the most accepting city in the world. Why do we have that? Why do we actually, when we do contracts, go out to people and say, you need to tell us what your diversity policy is? It's insanity. So there's areas of the council certainly where we need to cut down. Efficiency is what we have to have the least amount of people possible to do the best with our rates, basically.
Council staff was 1,200 when I left it in 2010. Somehow we've employed another 800 people, but we've got rid of city ops, we've got rid of the expert engineers and that, and I'm wondering why we need 53 people or whatever the figure is in communications. Even large organisations like the police, which are 6 times as big as council, don't have 53 communication staff. It's unbelievable. So if I was elected mayor, one of the first things I would do is sit down with the chief executive, and I don't want to put alarm or the skids under our staff or worry them, but a complete review of staffing and salaries. There's apparently 20 people on well over $200,000-300,000 a year. We've got a chief executive earning nearly as much as the Prime Minister that he runs a country, or she runs a country, and we've got a chief executive earning $10,000 a week. It's just out of control, and that's a major contributor to all this cost that's going on. It has to stop.
As I mentioned, worked at KPMG in corporate finance and also in investment and then sustainability at Kaingaora. I have run projects targeting explicitly efficiency improvements in organisations for the purpose of driving down costs but also increasing value. And so the question that I will leave you with is, has the central government's anti-bureaucracy stance and the decisions that they've made that have affected the bureaucracy of central government in Wellington, has that led to a better or a worse result for Wellington City?
So Wellington City Council has piled project on top of project on top of project I imagine the staff, even themselves, are tearing their hair out. I imagine many of them are worn out because the amount of work that's been done in the last 6 years is actually, I've got to give it to the staff, is incredible. But if we limit and cut the projects, stop the projects, stop the spending, and then some of these staff will understand that there's no work. So there's just too many projects going on at once. I mean, just have a think yourself. All the cycleway projects, potentially the Golden Mile, which came off the back of Let's Get Wellington Moving. I mean, it's numerous and numerous. And don't forget that the cycleways are temporary. They ran a design competition 18 months ago for a permanent solution. You know, if you're going to have permanent cycleways, you're going to need more staff to design those. So, yeah, that's the way to trim it back.
That's nonsense. They're designed already. They're fully functional already. They're fine.
They're not. They're temporary. The cycleways, most of the cycleways are temporary.
They're there already and they're fine.
They're fine for you, mate, but they're temporary cycleways.
It's not a debate, mate.
No, we're all here to give our opinion. I'm not anti-cycleways. I'm anti-temporary cycleways, you know. I'm pro-connected cycleways, and I'm pro-for cycleways for poorer communities, not so you can get from from your central city apartment to your local cafe. I want to see cafes, cycleways going out to lower socio-economic communities, like Tawa, who didn't get a cycleway because we in Nio got a temporary cycleway. They did not get a cycleway. They deserved a cycleway before we got one. We live close to the city. We have a train line right by our houses.
All right, I'm going to ask my plant in the audience to stop heckling. Thank you. Frankly, it's really lazy humour to punch down on bureaucrats. In Wellington City, we have a proud history of bureaucracy. Wellington City has been kept afloat by bureaucracy since the government moved to Wellington City over 100 years, 150-something years ago. So, and 185, thank you very much, Rob, beautiful. So we have a proud history of bureaucracy, and when the PENNYWIZE campaign rewilds the Basin Reserve and makes that basin swamp again, we are going to be tearing down that William Wakefield Memorial and replacing it with a beautiful memorial in commemoration of our hard-working bureaucrats who have made Wellington City the place it is today. Frankly, Wellington City, multi-billion-dollar organisation, 2,000 is a reasonable number of employees, to be honest. Kia ora koutou.
Part of getting the council's spending under control is a line-by-line review of what the council is currently spending. We know that there's a lack of cost control on some of the big projects. We've heard all about the blowouts. We've got I have a proposal to deal with that, which is an external oversight group. But the internal stuff, the operational stuff, that still has to be reviewed too, to make sure that whatever the council is doing is what the council should be doing and is getting value for money.
We talked about efficiency, but there's also the other side of things, and that's effectiveness. So in terms of my Wellington plan, I'm going to cut the expenditure by 5%. I think that's reasonable. But when you cut expenditure, and the role of the mayor and the elected council is to set the priorities, and that's what we need to do. We need to reset the priorities. We need to look at some of those policies that are in place that is causing the focus to be in other areas. And then it's the chief executive is then charged to delivering the services to the budget that we set and to the priorities that we set. So the council's role is as governors, and that's why we employ a chief executive, and that at a rate that's comparable with other chief executives in New Zealand. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. So just to say, interjections should be rare and reasonable and hopefully funny. There's a bonus if they're funny. The next question is number 98. Anyone got 98? Sir.
Okay, so my question is on rates. We've got a 12 to 15% roughly increase over the next 3 years predicted for rates, and then the long-term plan, well, your rates are going to more than double with another $7,000 added on for your new Metro water bill on top of the rates bill you already have. The question is, what is your prediction for the rates rise over the next 3 years, and how much are we going to be paying for rates in 10 years' time? And if you plan to reduce the increase, what are you going to do? Well, expand on it if you want to.
Rates are coming down big time because it's been transferred over to the Water Metro Authority. So your rates are going to go through the floor. It's going to, and in fact, Christopher Luxon told us today that we're going to have a higher debt room. So we're going to be able to borrow more money for crazy, ridiculous projects that we don't need. But you know, our rates will be way lower than they are now. But as long as you ignore your water bill when that arrives, because that's going to be a lot higher. So yeah.
I'll give you some numbers.
The Independent Together group will implement a rate freeze, so we will have a 0 rate increase over the next 3 years.
And that will never happen, Ray, because of what's a little dirty word called inflation. But here's what's happened the last 3 years. 23%, 16.9, 12.6 adds up to 52.4. But here's the hidden problem, the compounding factor each year. The rates increases the last 3 years have been a total of about 61%. That's the effect of it. What that means is, I think it was you, Calvin, that talked, Carl, talked about someone living in a house right now at about 8,500. In the year 2034, I've seen the figures, you'll be paying about $1,500 a month to live in that house, about $20,000 a year. Now, if you can afford that on a pension, I mean, that's more than the pension, just right there without any other bills. It's unsustainable. Rates, hopefully from next year, if I'm elected mayor, will be under the rate of inflation or no more than, and we should be looking at every single project to keep it at that level so it's more affordable people. We all know inflation's there. It's something that's difficult to control for governments, and there are external factors that around the world that affect those things. But it is doable. It's doable with a change in attitude from all of us, particularly the people that are sitting around tasked to deal with this thing. The next 3 years, 10.8, 13.1, 7.2. There we go. That's not the rate of inflation.
I think the simple answer to that is rates need to be as low as they possibly can be. Whether that's 2%, 0%, minus 2%. We need to become as efficient as we can. We need to focus on delivering the best value for money on absolutely everything we do. We need to cut all the wastage. We need to cut all the stupid projects and see where that ends up. So, yeah, everyone's saying, you know, you can't do 3 years of 0 rates, and they might be right. Maybe they can be negative. Maybe they have to be at inflation. The point is, they have to be as low as they possibly can be. That we can achieve, and that we can guarantee we can achieve if we're really efficient and we work hard at making sure that we deliver the best value for money, and that's all we can target.
I would like to tie rate increase to inflation rate. To achieve that, I will identify council core functions. For those that not core functions, I will discontinue. And also the other one is I will attract international investment and nurture business-friendly environment so we will have more jobs in Wellington and create like Wellington growth. So if I get elected, I will commit to have a lot of term. So in total 6 years, so I can make a long-term plan for our city. Thank you.
The reality is that the next council will inherit a lot of decisions from the current council and no doubt earlier councils too. And there will be commitments that have been made that will have to be met as well. I go back to the point that myself and others have made, which is that the critical thing is for council to take control of its spending, to look at those things that it hasn't committed to, might be on the plan somewhere, and say, do we need those particular projects? Can we afford them? Right now, the council cannot take on any more debt, should not be putting any greater burden on ratepayers because of the level of increases that we've had over the last couple of years. 30% increases over 2 years is just unacceptable. So it does have to come under control, but I don't think anybody can predict what rate levels will be over the next 10 years and probably over the next sort of, earlier than that. What you do need to see is a council committed to getting its spending under control. Those big projects need to be better managed. You need an external group to make sure that that control happens.
I've got a number. I've got some numbers for you, my friend. Kia ora koutou. So there is something which this council is spending hundreds of millions of dollars over the next 10 years. In fact, roughly about $700 million, and that is the city's roads. Under a PENNYWIZE mayoralty, we won't be needing those. So we can pass those on and use as rates relief, and using some the post-style calculations, if we take that $700 million and we divide it by 10, so that's 70 million per year, then we divide that by the number of residents, something like 94,000 in terms of households. We can pass that on as like about 1,000 a year, and all we have to do is not maintain any of our roads. Kia ora koutou.
It's a very cogent point that PENNYWIZE just made, actually, because not maintaining stuff is exactly how we kept rates low for such a long time in Wellington. And if anyone here doesn't understand why our rates are going through the roof now, it's because the compound annual growth rate of the council's operating costs for the last 25 years, 4.7%, 14 out of the 20 years between 2000 and 2021, the council did not increase its rates by more than that amount. And for 9 out of the 10 years between 2010 and 2020, it did the same thing. Instead, it borrowed to fund the increasing operating costs so that it didn't have to increase rates paid by households. Once it started getting close to its debt limit, it again didn't pass rates increases onto households. Instead, it lifted the commercial rate and pushed the rates paid by businesses up, which has started leading to businesses leaving the city, which leaves only one solution. Now, households' rates have to go up. There is only one way out of this, in my mind, and that is to grow the city's population so that the rates bill that we are all facing and that is not going to go anywhere can be spread across more people.
Alex is right about the excess burden on commercial ratepayers. We put their rates up far too high. But I do agree with Carl and Andrew about how we manage the rates going forward. We've got to stop a number of the projects that we're doing. We've got to cut our expenditure, and we've got to give people of Wellington a choice. Now, just recently, myself, backed by Councillor Ben McNulty and supported by Tony Randall, we wanted to put up an option of a lower rates increase. That got voted down by our council. Other councils give their residents choices. We should be giving choices. We say, do you want this one? Do you want that? And you understand the trade-offs. So be careful of who you elect around the council, because you want a council that will listen to you and understand your important issues. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we're coming to time, so rather than ask another question out of the raffle box, I've got my own question, and I'm just going to claim corruption, and I'm just going to go with my own one. So it's very close to my heart. So it's basically, how will you unlock land use and encourage sustainable mixed-use development like what we need here in the centre of Johnsonville?
So one of the options that I'm campaigning on is a switch from our current rate system, which charges based upon land values plus improvements for every site, to one that is focused only on land values. For most of you, that will mean a rates reduction. For Johnsonville Mall, it will mean quite a big rates increase. Right? What this change will mean is that each section pays a cost, a rates bill, that is much more closely aligned with the actual cost to the council with providing infrastructure capacity and services capacity to your site. And it is different from the way that we currently charge rates, and it means that most households will end up with a rates reduction. This change also unlocks development, because what it means is that anyone who is sitting on land that is underutilised, like the Johnsonville Mall, will have a much higher cash flow associated with it. They will not be able to sit there in land bank any longer because the cash, it will be too expensive for them. That's my proposal.
Look, Johnsonville has had a development plan since 2008. It had a lifespan of about 20 years, which is only 3 years away, and we haven't really got started on it. We built a library. We, a couple of years ago, thought about what water infrastructure was needed. We need to make sure that we just don't keep making plans. Well, if we're going to do a plan, that we actually put the resources into ensuring that that plan actually turns into reality. And this is the problem, is council's had too many projects, too many plans without the focus. So we need to focus, for example, on Johnsonville Mall, Town Centre, Adelaide Road. We've got a plan since 2008 there. We've had a CBD plan since 2011. We've just got to start off with at least one plan. I want an urban development team within council. It's in my Wellington plan. We need to put the focus on that, and we need to make sure it's resourced appropriately. Thank you.
This is our third mayoral candidate meeting today, so our third one, believe it or not. But earlier today we had a very angry builder, very, very angry man. He's trying to build 4 houses in Wellington. He's already built 70, and he says it's impossible. He's finding it impossible to build 4 houses. So if we can't attract, but he wants to leave Wellington, we can't get our current builders not being able to build houses. How do we unlock the potential of any land if we've got no one to build anything on it? So currently our council has a very low approval rating. We need to attract construction companies, and we need to get them come here, know we're open for business, and so that they know when they arrive something's going to actually get built. At the moment, Auckland's really struggling. 6.1% unemployment rate. That's a huge opportunity for us. I know it's not great for them. Who's doing anything to attract construction people here from Auckland? No one.
Right, in Johnsonville, there's actually a lot of construction going on at the moment. I was up at Hindmarsh Street just a little while ago, and there's lots of building going on up there. The key that what the council can actually do to influence building of houses is to rezone land. And so previously, in the previous district plan, we used to have 1/3 greenfields, 1/3 intensification, and 1/3 building in the CBD. So we need to make available cheap land. So we need to actually look at some of the greenfields areas we have. Now, the council at the moment want to have greater intensification in the CBD, but having the greenfields land where people can actually build wooden houses, single-storey or 2-storey houses, they can build those a lot cheaper than they can building big apartment blocks. So we need to make this available to them. We need to give people the choices. That's how we're going to reduce the cost of land and building.
Because I feel like some fact checking is required here. One of the reasons that the council is focused on intensification rather than the greenfield development is because in New Zealand and Australasia, the council infrastructure costs for greenfields are about 10 times that of intensification. It is much, much cheaper for the council to enable intensification than it is to expand the edges of our city. Second one, Stats New Zealand released a few weeks ago construction cost report for the country for the last year, and what it showed is that building single standalone dwellings was actually more expensive than building townhouses and apartments.
Sorry, I'm going to... Thank you. On the note of urban sprawl and the delightful development of suburbia, have any of you seen that movie Poltergeist? It's one of the best criticisms of post-World War II suburbia that exists in 20th century horror films. Oh my God. Yeah. Rewilding is a fantastic solution for forcing construction to move away from these ghastly greenfields developments where you can't get anywhere without a car. If we rewild these green fields and make them genuinely green, then builders will have no option but to actually build mixed-use developments. If we knock down the mall, we can do stuff with it. Kia ora.
I don't support rate-based on land valuation because it will not increase the total rate income. And it means that for some people they will have to pay more, and for some people they will pay less. For example, Kandala or Chiltern Park, we have usually we will have bigger land, and like a same size of house, we have bigger land. So it means that they have to pay more. So it's not fair for them. And the other thing is that, for example, the Johnsonville Mall, the owner is Stride Properties. And they also own Queensgate Mall in North Hart. And I'm thinking that maybe they don't want to create another mall to compete with their mall in North Hart. That's my suspicion. But I will talk to them if I get elected and to see what stops them to develop this land, because this location is very good. Why they don't develop this one? Thank you.
Alex may well be right that a land value rating system may create incentives for better land use. Work was done for Auckland City on what a land value rating system would look like and the impact it would have on ratepayers. It estimated that about 59% of ratepayers would be better off, would be paying lower rates. 41% conversely would be worse off. That may well be something well worth investigating. I think the critical thing that the council could do now and could do quickly is establish an urban development office in the council and work with developers for that mixed-use development. And I don't agree with more greenfields construction for the reason that Alex has pointed out. It is the most expensive form of construction. It doesn't lead to affordable housing. It's the affordable housing that we need and more mixed-use developments. We're seeing some great developments in Island Bay and Karori. We can do with more, and Johnsonville is crying out for just that sort of development.
I'm not sure we have an issue with land availability. The independent hearing panel, when they basically reviewed what we should do to get better housing, pretty much pointed out we've got to make it cheaper for developers to be able to get consents, make it easier for them to do it, and make sure that we deliver those consents on time. So I don't think the way we've gone with making people build over 3 stories in the centre of town has seen any advancement in things. I was fortunate enough as well, considering the Greenfield comments, to be given a tour around Granada and Chiltern Park by Rodney Callender, who's developed that land. He's built all the reservoirs out there. He's put all the pipes in underneath the ground. He's built the streets. He's put the fibre in. He's paid for everything. And all he's done is handed over these rate-paying units to the council. He's now got 900 properties that are just about ready to go on the Granada side of the motorway. And he's about to link up Granada with Woodridge, and you'll be able to drive through there. All this is paid for by a developer in Greenfield. So I just struggle with this hatred of people actually doing good stuff for us.
The average commercial differential around the country at virtually every other New Zealand city is 2.1 to 2.8. Have a look at the figures. Wellington's 3.7. How do you encourage developers to come here if they're paying a differential of nearly 3.7 to 1? What's the incentive to do it? So commercial rates is partly a problem. Council, I said it this afternoon, Council, I've said it for years, should become a one-stop shop. You should be able to go into Council, you can in Auckland, walk in off the street and get a cadastral to have a look at a development you might be interested in. It's a very difficult organisation to deal with. I was talking of a case this afternoon where a guy was just being mucked around by a consents officer for 4 months. It was costing him $3,000 a week. It took a 10-minute phone call and a quick meeting, and that was fixed that. We could unlock and rezone land. There's the top of the Miramar Peninsula there, for example, that's coming free. There's room for 300 houses up there. And there's certainly plenty of other areas that can be looked at, so, and speed up the consent process. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to wind things up now. Who remembers the TV programme Transformers? Transformers, more than meets the eye, that one? Yeah. So what a great bunch of candidates you've got here tonight. Democracy in action is absolutely fantastic. What I was thinking when I was hearing all these candidates here tonight, just on the last little speeches, was wouldn't it be great if they could all sort of be like the Transformers and kind of gather together like Megatron and be this kind of giant single thing? Because there's a whole bunch of really good ideas, and it would have been a lot of fun to see that. But I don't think it's going to happen. But what I will do is actually get them all to stand up, and I'll call out the names, and if you could all stand up, and we can wave goodbye to the voters of Johnsonville, and thank everyone for a great evening. So, Carl Tiefenbacker, Ray Chung, Andrew Little, Alex, sorry, I forgot your surname, Alex Becker, hi, Joan Shee, Rob Golden, Diane Calvert,
Thank you.
William Pennywise, and not Tim Brown. Calvin Hastie. Hey! I thought he was Tim Brown earlier on. So thank you everyone for coming along tonight. The next one is for all the Wellington local candidates, the Johnsonville local candidates. What is the date for that one? 17th of September? Thank you. Yep, you all get your voting forms on the 7th of October, and